Good morning, Seaside. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. We're so grateful for all of you this morning, and thank you so much for being here. I'm going to do a song for you, written just for Seaside and those of you tuning in. Hope you enjoy. Who are you but the angel who brings the light of peace to all? You hold the power of love's devotion. It burns within you to heed the call. Who am I, brother and sister? The one who knows your gracious heart. I hold the power of love's devotion. It burns within me to play my part. Who are we but the children of the one God divine? We hold the power of love's devotion. It burns within us, spirit divine. We hold the power of love's devotion. It burns within us, spirit divine. We hold the power of love's devotion. It burns within us, spirit divine.
Rebecca, that is so beautiful.
Thank you.
You set such a great tone for us on Sundays.
Thank you very much.
That's good.
Thank you.
Oh,
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I heard that it's 30 days has September,
Right.
June, and November.
Yeah.
The rest have 31, except for April, and that has 8,000 days.
That sounds about right.
That's
In
it.
2020, this new calendar for 2020.
That's right,
I
yeah.
think so,
Yeah, that 2020 calendar I heard so far is like looking both ways before crossing the street and being hit by an airplane.
Yeah, that sounds about right too. Wow. Well, you know, it's funny with this. I feel like I'm having this like weird reversal of like my teenagers because now I'm yelling at my parents for going out.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's crazy for sure.
It definitely.
Yeah, it's I heard somebody they said after 40 days in quarantine that they discovered they could actually melt an ice cube by just looking at it.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
They
the
had
power of their
time.
mind. Yeah.
Oh, okay, the power. That's right.
That's it. It takes a
Yeah.
little longer than they thought,
That's
but
true, you know. Well, you know, we still try to do business, you know, as much as possible. Or, you know, we're on the phone probably a lot more than usual.
yeah.
But I have to catch myself because I can't, you know, I'm so used to saying I have to run, but now I don't really have anywhere to run to
No.
these days.
It's kind of fun calling people. I can always find them at home.
That's true, too.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
It's a good time to go after people if they owe you money.
Yeah, you know where they are. Yeah, well, I saw one of those memes with a couple dogs looking out the window, and this little pup was asking her mom, "Why are all the people out there walking with masks? Is it because they bit someone?"
Right. Oh, my
And she
gosh.
said, no. It's because they haven't learned how to sit and stay.
See? That's good.
That's it. So, hey, did you know today is International Laughter Day, which is,
See, I didn't know
And,
that.
and just a minute of laughter. There's 90 countries around the world that are practicing just a minute of laughter to help heal whatever's going on in life in the world. So
That's a good thing.
it's good. And one of the things we did yesterday at Seaside, Callie, along with Carolyn Holder, got the Seaside Sisters and the men's group together to create a caravan. And they put together a path, and we went a dozen cars with at least 2 or 3 people in a car, went to 20 different houses just to wave and give our love. We visited one lady, Dr. Kathy Polson, one of our practitioners, who's in a memory care unit. We had other people who hadn't seen anybody for a month come and just wave as we went by. It was just so just Callie safely. We kept safe distance and 20 people around town. It was just felt good to take Seaside love out to the world.
Beautiful.
So we can continue to practice spirit in all ways, and we're going to do it this morning. So we're going to have Reverend Debbie McDonald come on up to the stage and just set the tone with a little bit of stillness, light the candle, sound the bell, and pray us in.
Sounds like a plan.
Reverend Debbie McDonald, come on up and light that candle and get us going.
I don't know. Should they keep their day job? I don't know. A little comedy act there. I'm Reverend Debbie. It's my joy to be with you here this morning as we set the tone for our service today. Just feeling that power and that presence that is here now and always. Knowing that spirit is all that there is only one thing happening ever, and that is God expressing. And I'm knowing for today's service that it unfolds perfectly in divine order, that all that needs to be said is said and all that needs to be heard is heard, that each and every individual who is tuned into this service today is here by a divine appointment, that there are no mistakes in God's world. I'm knowing that Spirit moves through Dr. Christian and our beautiful musicians in the most magnificent way, expressing that love and that divine light that is so prominent here at Seaside. So grateful for it all. Just let it be.
All the worries you
blessed. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you. Ugh, it's been fun having Rebecca write these beautiful new songs for us and anchor us so deeply in this place, in this moment. We are blessed. We are very blessed. Let's see. I want to mention that Wednesday nights have resumed, and you can find us on Zoom, Wednesday Night Healing Circle, a 7 o'clock Wednesday night. The link's on our website and in our Facebook page. Okay, so I want to continue with what we've been doing the last couple of weeks, is telling you some wonderful good news that's happening in the world. First, I want to tell you a little bit about what we receive here at Seaside. You guys are amazing. We continue to get emails and letters and cards and checks and all kinds of wonderful things in the mail from all of you. And we got this from Gordon. He says, I have a lot of options for watching Sunday streaming service, and the full production Seaside offers keeps me watching and coming back week after week. Thank you, Gordon. John says, thank you, Seaside. Your words of inspiration lift me up from a tendency to drop into fear and sadness. In reality, it is an opportunity to use new thought, ancient wisdom, to change my mind and take the higher ground of my being. Yes, John, that is so true. It is so true. Let's see. I have one more for you here. Too many things in my hands. Thank you for your spiritual insight into living a balanced and positive life every Sunday. And that's Emily. Thank you. Thank you all for watching us, for continuing to turn in, to being part of our Seaside family. We get to stay connected with you in a different way than normal, but we get to stay connected. You know, so much good is happening in the world right now. I know sometimes the news and the media focuses on all the bad stuff, but there is so much good that's going on. And what I'm really loving to tune into is neighbors helping neighbors, and the communities that are coming together to support each other, like our Seaside caravan, you know, that went around to support each other. And there's one little girl named Emily and her mother, and they started to do bake a cake was their thing. And they decided at the very beginning of this, 8,000 days ago, that they would bake a cake, and they put it out on their social media that they cut it in 4, and there was 4 quarters of a cake for anybody who wanted them. Well, immediately they were picked up, and they've continued to do this every day. And what's happened is people have started to donate, you know, flour and sugar and things for them to be able to continue to bake, and money. And they've just continued to do this thing, and they said they'll do it as long as they possibly can. You should see the pictures of all the wonderful treats they've created. The other story that I heard that really meant a lot to me was, you know, our hairdressers and our manicurists and our massage people are mostly out of work right now. They're not able to work. And I was talking to a hairdresser friend of mine who said that he has a couple clients, one that just every 4 weeks on her appointment mails her check-in, even though she's not getting her hair done. Another one came to pick up some color. You ladies will understand that. Come to get her color, and he left it out on his front door for her on the front porch, and she left a full check, just like she'd had her appointment, you know. And the kindness of people continuing to support each other just touches my heart. It's just wonderful how people are doing that for each other. So Dr. Christian's message today is The Wizard is You. And we're wrapping up, as Dr. Christian said, this series that we've been doing for the last 5 weeks. And I'm going to read a little Ernest Holmes from you from one of his early books, This Thing Called You. You belong to the universe in which you live. You are one with the creative genius back of this vast array of ceaseless motion, this original flow of life. You are as much a part of it as the sun, the earth, and the air. There is something in you telling you this, like a voice echoing from some mountaintop of inward vision, like a light whose origin no man has seen, like an impulse welling up from an invisible source. Your soul belongs to the universe. Your mind is an outlet through which the creative intelligence of the universe seeks fulfillment. This is your starting point for investigating the meaning of those impulses. longings, and desires which accompany you through life. You may accept that the source through which they come is real. You may accept that the universe is filled with a divine and infinite presence, perhaps the infinite of yourself. Not the infinite of your limited self, but the infinite of the divine self you must be. There must be a pattern of yourself in the invisible. The greatest minds of the ages have accepted that such a pattern exists. Socrates called it his spirit, Jesus his Father in heaven. Some ancient mystics called it Atman. Why don't you call it just you? Your complete self. For surely this is what they have all meant. And so it is. I have the honor of introducing a guest artist today. We have a beautiful guest artist with us today. Most of you know her. You've seen her before. She's been here at Seaside with us. Welcome, Gia.
Good morning, good morning. Yay, hi. Hi, everybody. Baby, don't look down. It's a long way. You're up so high. When you look around, you're gonna find you can fly. Woo! Baby, there are changes happening in your soul right now, and it make your world feel like, ooh, it's out of control. Yeah. You're sinking low. It's time to remember. Just remember, keep remembering. Roll with the wind. You know she will lift you up so you can see your dreams as they unfold. Visualize the future they hold. Trade your pony for some wings and listen when your heart sings. Ooh, when your heart sings, yeah. Check it out. So you made some plans that didn't work out. You can let them go right now, and it make you cry just a little. Ooh, 'cause you don't know. You can hold your head up and see the sunshine pouring down. 'Cause every time you let go of something, something else comes around. Ooh. If you're sinking low, it's time to remember. make you feel strong. Gotta play along, gotta sing my song. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh. Don't you know you're God's dream? We are all God's dream. We're gonna dream a new world. Works for everyone, every day, every minute. Ah, yeah, ah, hey, ah, yeah, ah, hey, ah, gonna see your dream. Ooh.
Woo-hoo, right. Hey, that is Gia Bate. Woo, man. I just love the grit of your voice. It's just coming from the deep soul. Hey, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, wow. Hey, I'm going to light up this candle here. And this candle here just represents, we have 40 different practitioners praying around here for today's service. And I always look at our candle, whether it's sitting here or in our spiritual prayer center, just to get those spiritual hits as I'm flowing. And so I just want to acknowledge our practitioners that are home today. They're chatting on the Facebook Live, so feel free to call in to your friends or check in with your friends. Let them know to go to Facebook Live or go to our platform at seasidecenter.org and let them be part of this journey, because we are wrapping up this journey of our trek down the yellow brick road, if you would. And so we left Dorothy last week, if you remember, in the witch's castle. She had just thrown the water on her buddy, the scarecrow, to put out his fire. He hit the witch, and she's melting, and that story. And so we were wondering, or I was wondering, the guards, are they going to be upset in this moment? But here's the surprise of it all. They were filled with joy to be freed from being captive to this horrible boss that the witch is dead, how excited they were. And so they gave Dorothy the broom, the boon, if you would, that she had been working on getting. She had gone on this journey, but what we came to discover, the feminine approach to the hero's journey is different than the male's approach to the hero's journey. We know Arthur was the masculine, and he got his treasure with blood on his sword. And Dorothy got the broom given to her because she chose the compassionate way. And that's right. And so they get excited. They head on back to the wizard, and they get to the wizard, and they say, "Wizard, we brought you the witch's broom." And the big booming voice says, "How did you do that?" And he said, "We threw water." And he said, "You liquidated her." Ah, that was clever. But he wouldn't give them the gifts that he had promised. And they start arguing. And here is Dorothy, the apotheosis, that's the word. It is a part of the hero's journey when our hero reaches that point of culmination, where they climax, where they become the divine, where they have reached the epitome, the top of their game of what they were working on. And here is Dorothy, this timid, meek little Kansas girl who is afraid of authority, standing up to this booming, disembodied head with fire and smoke and all sorts of hoopla going on. And he is telling her to come back tomorrow. And she is telling him, "No, you live up to your promise to us." And as she is going back and forth with him, her little dog Toto pulls the curtain away, and what we see is this little guy pulling levers, switching gears, speaking into a speaker, making fire and flames go. And he says, "Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Go. I am Oz the Great. Listen to me. Go now before I get mad." And it's like headlines telling us, don't look over here. Just look at this. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Don't pay attention to all this other stuff. But once the curtain has been parted, you can't unsee what you've just seen. Which is why it is important for us to continue to take a look at what is also beyond the curtain. What's beyond the headlines? What more is there to the story, because I got to tell you, in that moment, when all of a sudden one's dreams are shattered, it doesn't mean it is the end. It is the hero's journey. You run into one challenge, you get a handle, you run into another one. It's just part of this thing called life. But what you've got to do is leave space for God in your thinking and your consciousness, because if your mind is filled with just looking at the curtain, if your mind is filled with just what is being told to you, you are missing an infinite realm of possibilities for God to show up. You've got to leave room for surprises. That's the thing about surprise. You can't plan, because it's a surprise. You've got to recognize that, you know what, I've got to plan for Spirit to show up in a way that I can't plan for. But I got to leave space in my awareness for it. This is part of the evolutionary journey, is to be able to recognize that, you know what, I want to enter into the Emerald City, if you would. I want to enter into the city where there is openness and creativity, a desire for learning, where they embrace the differences, that there's multicolored expressions, that they don't care that a lion is walking down the street talking to a scarecrow. It is just a place where there is acceptance to the new possibilities, where there is learning and openness and a space for something new to emerge, where they embrace not only the healthy-looking youth as put out by, the TV shows or the media, but it is the diversity of individuals, the elders, who bring to the equation wisdom for life. They bring educational opportunities for children. We want to be Ozified. I like that one. We want to be Ozified, where there is space for the new that we haven't planned yet, even if it's not turning out like we thought, even if there's a problem that has been brought to us. I've got to begin to allow myself to let go of my fears, my regrets, my sadness, and recognize that the villains and the wicked witches or the challenges in this world or my life are bringing me to a place of digging a little bit deeper. They are actually bringing a gift. They may have meant harm, but it has changed me for good. And possibly they are part of the divine plan in your curriculum that the wizard that is you actually created to bring forth the gifts in your life. And so they are doing the favor by taking on the villain role in your life. So you have to dig down deeper. That's part of being Ozified. That's about recognizing that you are the wizard and that there is space for something to emerge that my mind hadn't quite thought of. But with God, all things are possible. And so as we look back in 2020 hindsight, we're going to recognize how this time and this era moved us to greater good. We saw just with Earth Day, we paused for a moment and said, wow, this virus thing or this quarantine thing, what a surprise. We didn't even think about all of a sudden the smoggiest cities, LA, Denver, New York, would have blue skies like they haven't been seen in years. You hear birds singing on Madison Avenue in the middle of New York. The dolphins are swimming in the canals of Venice like they never have. That the water in the Ganges is cleaning up to the point where people are drinking out of it again. That China that had this smog, this just nasty CO2 over it has been cleared up tremendously, that there's a hole in the ozone that was enormous over on the poles that is closed up. Surprise! You've got to leave room for the presence of God to show up when you're in the deepest place of fear. That is part of leaving the regret, the pain, the sadness, the anger on the outside and forgiving. I'm willing to forgive the deliverer of this experience. Because you know what? As we look back on our life, we're going to realize that it meant it for good, my greater good. There's this wonderful video that's been floating around on the internet in the last few days. Millions, it's blown up. It's gone viral. And why do we run that here?
Tell me the one about the virus again, then I'll go to bed.
But my boy, you're growing weary, sleepy thoughts about your head.
Please, that one's my favourite. I promise just once more.
Okay, snuggle down, my boy, though I know you know full well. The story starts before then, in a world I once would dwell. It was a world of waste and wonder, of poverty and plenty, back before we understood why hindsight's 2020. You see, the people came up with companies to trade across all lands, but they swelled and got much bigger than we ever could have planned. We'd always had our wants, but now it got so quick. You could have anything you dreamed of in a day, and with a click. We noticed families had stopped talking. That's not to say they never spoke, but the meaning must have melted, and the work-life balance broke. And the children's eyes grew squarer, and every toddler had a phone. They filtered out the imperfections, but amidst the noise, they felt alone. And every day the skies grew thicker, till you couldn't see the stars. So we flew in planes to find them, while down below, we filled our cars. We'd drive around all day in circles. We'd forgotten how to run. We swapped the grass for tarmac, shrunk the parks till there were none. We filled the sea with plastic, because our waste was never capped, until each day when you went fishing, you'd pull them out, already wrapped. And while we drank and smoked and gambled, our leaders taught us why. It's best to not upset the lobbies. More convenient to die. But then in 2020, a new virus came our way. The governments reacted and told us all to hide away. But while we all were hidden, amidst the fear and all the while, the people dusted off their instincts. They remembered how to smile. They started clapping to say thank you and calling up their mums. And while the car keys gathered dust, they would look forward to their runs. And with the skies less full of voyagers, the earth began to breathe, and the beaches bore new wildlife that scuttled off into the seas. Some people started dancing, some were singing, some were baking. We'd grown so used to bad news, but some good news was in the making. And so when we found the cure, and were allowed to go outside, we all preferred the world we found to the one we'd left behind. Old habits became extinct, and they made way for the new, and every simple act of kindness was now given its due.
But why did it take a virus to bring the people back together?
Well, sometimes you've got to get sick, my boy, before you start feeling better. Now lie down and dream of tomorrow, and all the things that we can do. And who knows, if you dream hard enough, maybe some of them will come true. We now call it the Great Realization. And yes, since then there have been many. But that's the story of how it started, and why hindsight's 2020.
Woo. The Great Realization. Hindsight is 2020. You've got it all already. You got to recognize that life, spirit, the essence that created all things want us to be as happy as we want our kids. That message that he was sharing with the young ones there, that's what life wants for us, is to be able to express it. And when we come across to a moment that challenges us, it is inviting us to go higher, not lower, not to succumb to the challenges. As Maya Angelou will tell us, is that hope and fear cannot contain the same place at the same time. You know, you can't be into the fear and the possibility of the infinite at the same time, which is why I was saying you've got to create the space for the presence of God. Even when the wizard turns out to be something that you didn't think it was, it doesn't mean it was meant for bad. There is something that is conspiring for your good. You know, Goethe, the German philosopher, writer, scientist, physicist, he said that don't allow the things that mean the most to be at mercy to those that mean the least. Okay? Don't allow the things that mean the most to you to be at the mercy of things that are the least. You know, are you available even in those dark moments when it looks like your best buddy is burning to the ground, that there is an answer that surpasses what you even thought was possible, that is going to quantum leap you to the next realm of possibilities. And so our characters, the brains, the heart, and the body, the courage, are before the wizard, and they're saying, but you promised us the brains, the heart, and the courage. And then all of a sudden, the wizard appeared in that man's suit. There's a wisdom that showed up and said, you guys ask for so little. It pains me or grieves me, is what he said. And he said, so to the scarecrow, anyone who crawls on this earth has brains, but where I am from, we have universities where people go to learn how to think, and we produce great thinkers. And those great thinkers don't have any more brains than you have, but they do have one thing you haven't, and that is a diploma. And so he goes into his bag of tricks in this velvet bag and pulls out a diploma and says, by the powers invested in me by the University Status Committee, by I can't even pronounce what he was invested in. All I know is he gave him this diploma from the honorary degree, an honorary Ph.D. And the scarecrow said, what does that mean? He says, you are an honorary doctorate of thinkology. And it's like, wow, I got a diploma. And he just smiles and he says to the lion that, hey, your problem is mixed up thinking, because I'll tell you what, just because you run when you're afraid doesn't mean you don't have courage. You're mixing up, courage with wisdom. A lot of smart people run when they are afraid. And so the only difference, the people where I come from, who dust off the mothballs from their courage and march in a parade, is that they have a medal. And so he goes into his bag and pins on this medal and says, you have now received this medal for meritorious bravery and being able to deal with wicked witches. And wow. I roared last week. We'll leave that one alone. And then the Tin Man, he says to my galvanized friend, you are lucky that you don't have a heart. Not until they make hearts unbreakable do you want one of these. If it wasn't for my heart, I would have been a powerful man. I would have been a great wizard, but my heart breaks. And so you have as much heart as the people in my country who do good deeds. They are, he couldn't even pronounce the word philanthropists. He said, they're good deed doers. What they have is meritorious recognition, and I give you, and he gets his bag and pulls out a clock in the shape of the heart, and there you go. And it's like, this is a brilliant psychoanalysis guy going on. Because when people go in for counseling, it's usually, low self-esteem around emotions, around fear, not smart enough. And he gives them something, and they got it. It's like we have it. We've come to discover what we're looking for is within us all the time. And the challenges in our world allow that God seed, that something to come forth from within, because we come to recognize that the wizard is within. And those moments in our life that challenge us and rock us to the core and bring us to our knees are actually probably meant for good for us. Though it may not be recognized in the moment, it gives us the opportunity to step up to higher ground. But then our friends say, what about Dorothy? Dorothy looks, I don't think there's anything in that bag for me, is there? He says, I'm a Kansas guy. I come from the Midwest, and I'm a balloonist, and I'm going to take you home. And so the next thing we know, she's on the balloon, ready to go home with the wizard, leaving his country of Oz in the hands of three worthy individuals. And the balloon is getting ready to take off. And Toto decides to chase a cat in that moment, jumps out of the balloon. Dorothy jumps out of the balloon. The balance is gone, and off goes the balloon. And there goes her hopes and her dreams. And rejected or dejected. The pain. Once again. See, it's this journey thing. It's like, time after time. It's like, get me off this yellow brick road at some point, you know. But in that moment of surrender, the absolute, you thought it was bad for, here it is. Here comes this orb out of the distance. And here comes Glinda, the good witch of the north. Can't be a good witch unless you have a wicked witch. You know, every good witch has got to have a wicked witch, otherwise you're just a witch. And so, like I like to say, every saint has got to have a sinner, otherwise you can't be a saint without a sinner. You see, you know, like both of them are, you know, the wicked witch, if you saw the prequel to The Wizard of Oz, Wicked, you actually find out Glinda and the wicked witch were actually roommates at their sorcery school, that they both were in love with the same guy, that, you know, they were actually friends. And if there wasn't a twist of fate, actually the green one would have been the good witch. She actually had the biggest heart of the two of them. But they played roles that were necessary for each other to evolve into what was going on in their life. So anyway, here shows up Glinda, and he says, can you help me? And she says, no. Because you can help yourself. She said, can you get me home? She says, no, you can do that yourself. You have got the power within you. It's like, really? And now you're just telling me this? Why are you just now telling me this? And I love her line. It's because if I told you sooner, you would never have believed me. That's the thing of our journey through this world, is that we have to come to discover and know ourselves. And we discover that spirit, that wizardry that Dorothy discovered, the sacred potency. The magic lies within us, and it's only as we come to discover it that we'll begin to know it is ours. It's who we are. And so Dorothy had to learn something. And they said, so what did you learn, Dorothy? And she said, I had to learn that I not only wanted to go back to Kansas for Auntie Em and Uncle Henry, but I had to come to realize that the dreams that I was looking for, I didn't have to look any further than my own backyard. In other words, you don't have to go to the Himalayas to find God, your dream, your destiny, your purpose, though it's okay to go to these great sacred places. I love that. But it's in your own backyard that you can come to discover the dreams and the power that is necessary. He said, that's very good. You ready to go home? He said, yeah. So you just click your heels 3 times together and you say the sacred mantra. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. And there she goes. You know, and that's the thing. We need the challenges in our life. Jean Houston, whose book we're using to help inspire the metaphysical interpretation here, she talks about Christopher Fry. Whenever we hear Jean talk, oftentimes when you hear Jean talk, she'll quote Christopher Fry, an English poet who, a playwright really, he said, thank God, this is our time now. Thank God our time is now. That's it. Thank God our time is now, where wrong comes up to meet us everywhere and stays till we take the longest stretch of soul that we've ever taken. Thank God our time is now, where wrong comes to us from everywhere and stays until we take the longest stretch of soul that we have ever taken, that we ever took. You know, thank God. Can you really be happy with what we are going through in our life right now? Can you really be able to be open to that, forgive the pain, the mistakes, and recognize that it has changed you for good, that this is part of the evolutionary process, that this journey was necessary to get us where I need to be so I can bring something to the world? Jean Houston, in the book that I mentioned, The Wizard of Us, she writes something I would like to share, where she said They want us to carry this illuminating life into the world and become a revelation to others. The great realizing is what we saw in that video. I want you to become a great revelation to others, an intellectual and psychological beacon, evocateur of new patterns, of new relationships, of new discoveries. I want you to bring fresh mind and fresh matter to an old world and serve as a catalyst of change, a pathfinder of deeper realities, to create a new Renaissance, a new Emerald City here on earth. It is our time for you to claim your role as a powerful social activist. She goes on to talk about, I love this line, we don't have the luxury of sloth. You got that? We don't have the luxury just, everything's good, it's time for us to step up and realize that this is the moment where wrong is everywhere, and that we have been born for a time such as this, and that is the longest stretch of ourself, of our soul, that we get to make at this time, to bring forth that, to crack open that God seed that is within us, if you would. You know, if there is a fire in the forest, there are a lot of pine tree seeds on the ground, and it takes a fire to crack the shell on those seeds for a new forest to come. Well, it is desperate times that can crack the seed, the God seed that has been implanted, that entelechy, that wisdom that Glinda, the good witch, represents, that it reminds us that we have what it takes for the Renaissance, as Jean is challenging us to bring forth, to usher into this world. A Renaissance that comes out of the darkness. Ever hear the Dark Ages? You remember that? Within a generation into the 15th century, you had Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael create these masterpieces of art. You had Columbus and Magellan and Vasco da Gama, who literally brought forth a new world for us to live in. You had Copernicus exploring the space. You had Luther and the Reformation. And later on, you had writers like Shakespeare and Cervantes and Bacon. You know, you had these great minds that were coming together, the Galileos and the Junos, and there was this Renaissance that came within such a short period of time. You can go before that, the beginning of Western society, the magic and the miracle, the awakening of the ancient Greek civilization that brought us the modern Western world. We are at a time such as this for which we have been called into action. That God seed, that intelligence is being activated. That wizard is you, and it is within you who created your curriculum, and you have characters and experiences in your life that it just sometimes could use some forgiving, because you know what? They're part of your plan. They are working on changing you for good. You become better because of that. And so Dorothy returns into Annie M's arms. She begins to wake up. It's called the return threshold. The threshold of return. It's part of all initiations. If you're coming back, there's going to be somebody to greet you. If you're off on your shamanic journey, you got the shaman ready to integrate you back into this world. You're born into this world. You got the loving arms of mom to lead you forward. You move out of this world, which is just as natural coming into this world. You got to give up the fear of that, because it's you come, you go. It's the way that works. There are arms and ones to greet you on your new path. Dorothy pops back in from this adventure, rides somewhere on the back of a tornado, lands in a place that has no normal operations that she is used to. She is hunted by a wicked witch. You talk about not a comfortable thing going on, but actually this wicked witch, it was necessary for her to discover the entelechy, Glinda, the good witch, for her to be able to awaken to that mature woman that she could bring back to Kansas, some colored to the gray, drab flat Kansas fields. And she's beginning to wake up. And Professor Marvel sticks his head in. Yeah, I heard Dorothy, the little girl, looks like she's doing good. And in the room walks Uncle Henry and Zeke and Hunk and Hickory. Those are the three guys. And they line up around her like a Renaissance Last Supper picture, symbolizing the perfect thing. And Henry says, boy, I thought we had lost her for a while, that she had left us. And she said, but I did leave you. You know, I've been gone for days and days. I've been trying to get back. And they, oh, it's okay, little girl. She said, no. And she points to the guys and said, and you were there, and you were there, and you were there, and you were there also. She recognized the archetypal aspects of the human beings that were incarnated in the physical form, but could see that higher aspect, the gift that each of them had to bring. And as this girl was trying to say, you know what, there's a real place that where if you dare to dream, your dreams really do come true. But Toto, there is no place like home. There is no place like home. And as she begins to rise in her expression, everybody around her, the scarecrow, the tin guy, the lion, even Professor Marvel. And that is what we are working on, coming to discover that wizard is you. It resides within you. And as you lift your vibration of being, everything around you, it's like the tide in the harbor lifts all boats. This is one of the reasons we are on this spiritual path at this time. You can get caught up in saying, hey, this is bad, or you can choose to look back like this video of 2020 and say it was meant for good. You can look upon the wicked witch and say that was horrible, but you know what? You can have a relationship and realize we had a soul agreement, and this was good for both of us. It comes back to the first thing I said about this journey is you get to decide, how it's going to be. She could have gone home from the very beginning, but wasn't ready to hear it. From day one of this whole COVID-19 thing, I've told you it's okay. We're coming through this. And the truth is we're already through it. But are you ready to hear that? Are you ready to believe it? Because the challenges in your world are to assist you for change, for good. Feel that. Be with that. Rebecca, Gia, I know you have a song for us.
Powerful message, Reverend Christian. Thank you so much. I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them, and we help them in return. Well, I don't know if I believe that's true, but I know I'm who I am today because I knew you. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the woods. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, I have been changed for good. It well may be
you blame me for. But then I guess we know there's blame to share, and none of it seems to matter anymore. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like the stream that meets the boulder halfway through the world. And who can say that I've been changed for the better? I do believe I have been changed for the better. Because I knew you. Because I knew you. Because I knew you. I have been changed for
Hey, my goodness. Two witch sisters, neither good nor wicked, just loving each other on their journey and appreciating them. Thank you, too, for singing that for me. Oh, man, it just brings up wonderful heart feelings. Nice job. Thank you. Thank you. Well, this is the time of our service where we pause and give us all the opportunity to share our love in a financial way of supporting this community that is moving through time. And though we are delivering ourselves to you in your living room or on your phone or wherever you may be, we are still here physically required to handle all the financial obligations. And so there has been a generous outpouring week after week of mail coming in, as well as hitting that donate button on your screen, and Vimo or whatever that new one is. I don't even know. Venmo that you have been using, and PayPal, and those that have been part of the auto tithe that said just regularly count me in every week or every month. You can be part of it. I want you to know, because of you, you have allowed Seaside to move through this time, and we're going to be able to open our doors for all of us to come back together, bringing our candles on that first Sunday and putting it down, said, I've held a light for this community. And so my heart goes out to you at home. We had a lot of fun yesterday as Callie and the sisters and Carol and Rave and the men's group just guided us to all these homes in our community, carrying your love to just dear friends and family of our community. It's a magical place, that is Seaside, and what we've come to recognize and realize is we're more than just a physical place. It's a consciousness. I'm getting all sorts of writings of people. I turn to you with my prayerful thoughts. I reach out to you in my thinking, for prayer, for assistance, and I just know you're there. It's because we have 40 to 50 practitioners praying every day for this community, that there is a frequency that emanates from this place. We are truly a beacon of love and light that is going forth. And we're taking this time to allow us to become better in our ability to bring love and support to your world. So all that said, I'm just thanking you from the fullness of my heart for your generous offerings and gifts that are assisting us to maneuver through this time. And so with that, I want to share a prayer of gratitude with truly the most generous of spiritual communities. And my heart is filled. I can feel the love and the blessings and the gift of spirit that are moving and grooving in this moment. For the richness and the blessings of God has its way through each and every one of us. We become that conduit that is forever expanding as we allow ourselves to be accessed by that infinite flow, the Taoist way, that stream of abundant good, that energy of life, that life itself that is moving right now, raising the tide and all that are around us in this ever-lifting process. And so as as we share love, let us not forget to love ourselves in this process, that we step forth into life with a courageousness and a confidence, creating that space for the infinite to enter into our field of awareness, so we're able to come from that. And as we come from this abundant moment, knowing that truly this is a blessed day in which this new earth, this emerald city, has its light shown for all to see. And we are seers of the light, bringers of the light, expressions of God's abundance, made manifest here and now. So I let go to this, and I trust that it is so. And so it is. Amen. And together, let us say our affirmation of abundance, which is, Spirit continues to bless my world. Gratefully, I live as the giving expression of Spirit, opening the floodgates of the affluent flow of greater good as my life now. Hey, man, those are our guys. And just thank you so much, wonderful musicians that are giving us the sound week after week. Thank you. Look forward to showing your faces again. Anyway, wow. Thank you for sharing this message with your friends. Let them know that they are the wizard, that they have the power, that we're not waiting for our ability to go home, but rather we're home now. Things are good now, that we have been told now, though some may need to travel down that road a little bit more before they believe that they have the power of their wholeness and joy. And there's others that say, man, there's no place like home. I am there in the ever-loving arms of the divine. It is possible. And it's the integration, as we learned, of the head and the heart. Blaise Pascal, a French mathematician, he said that the truth is known not only by reason, but also by the heart. You know, and there's someone else. Oh, Jonas Salk. You know, we got his institute right down the street here. He said that intuition points the way to the thinking mind as to where to look next. You know, it's the integration, the mind and the heart, that shows up with the courage to express the truth of our conviction. And that's what we're about to do with our prayer. Know that Seaside is continuously doing good things. There's prayer available right after the service day. You go online, you go to the Seaside website, and you just click on the Zoom link, or if you have the Zoom link, then you just put in the password Ernest and ask for prayer. The practitioners are waiting to pray with you in their private prayer rooms, so go ahead, take advantage of that. No Wednesday nights. We're doing Zoom midweek healing ritual. So this week, Reverend Debbie's leading that. So we're doing a lot of good. We're offering a lot of blessings. In a couple of weeks, we're starting up Sacred Circles again. On the 17th of May, we're going to take a look at Michael Singer's book, The Untethered Soul. So I'm giving you a heads up. Next week, you'll be able to sign up for those. It's our gift to you. So, but what I want to do right now is pray with a heart that's full. I still have the visions of, and just want to shout out to those 12 cars with drivers going to the houses. It was, I keep saying it, it was just magical expression of Seaside. They got off our campus and kept safe distancing. But just thank you to everyone who took those 2.5 hours to drive around and touch people. It was love. And that's what I'm stepping and feeling in right now, is that love vibration, is that feeling. And I'd like to invite Gia over here to just sing a song to take us to that deeper place, for her music is truly the expression of consciousness. Open your heart and soul and feel that presence, that prayer.
have to say may well be simple, but they're true. Until you give your love, there's nothing more that we can do. 'Cause love is the opening door. Love is what we came here for. No one could offer you more. Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen? You say it's very hard to leave behind the life we knew. But there's no other way. Now it's really up to you. Oh, it's really up to all of us, yeah. Love is the key we must turn. Truth is the flame we must burn. And freedom the lesson we must learn. Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen? 'Cause love is the opening door. Ooh. And love is what we came here for. No one could offer you more. Do you know what I mean? Ooh. Have your eyes really seen? Do you know what do you know what I mean?
And I see, and I know, I believe, for I am that infinite expressing in this moment. I am the wizard. I have the wizardry, the sacred potency. For that expression of the divine is me now. It's not off somewhere in the future. I now am that which is wholeness, comfort, well-being. I am now ready to experience the grace. For in these times of threat, there is grace. There is God. There is life. There is that which guides the universe. It is the intelligence that has moved this earth through the different iterations and extinctions and expressions and births and genesis. For the God's seed is that which I am, and these times have cracked me open. Feel that genesis of being opening up in this moment, this regeneration, this renaissance, this new life that cannot be guided from the past. The past cannot be the compass into the future. It has not been there yet, but it is the integration of the mind and the heart that shows up in the courage of the body's expression as I move down this yellow brick road. For that entelechy, that wisdom of being has been activated for a time such as this. Thank God the time is now where wrong comes to meet us everywhere. I am available for spirit. I know that in the midst of question and confusion, that I am not locked into seeing only one. That I begin to have that mountaintop view, that grander vision. The apotheosis. The apotheosis. That rising, that culmination, that climaxing, that moving to the pinnacle of the ability to express the divinity that I am in the situation I am in now. For I'm grateful for all those that have journeyed with me heretofore. They have been gifts of God, of life itself, the characters, the scarecrows, the galvanized buddies, the courageous and timid. I'm grateful for my life and know that it has been a blessing that has brought me to this very moment. And this moment is rich, it is right, it is real, it is God made manifest. And I know right now that the blessings and the grace of God move through each and every one of us. We become that vortex and that avenue for that greater expression. And as that Spirit moves, it heals anything unlike itself. For the blessing of Spirit is upon this moment. And I know that every prayer request that has been brought forth to our community is now answered and fulfilled. In particular, for Arlene Slauson. For Miss Slauson is truly an expression of God, who's experiencing the experience of COVID-19, that right where she is, there is that healing power that is activating and remembering its expression as her very life. And for Mark Sergi, who just came home yesterday from the hospital, that his body is the temple of God and that it knows how to heal itself. There is a movement within his physical being that aligns the spirit and the soul and the body for the perfect healing. And for our dear beloved Katie Cadwell, who for the 20 years we have been here has sat in that corner by our door welcoming people, who made her transition this week, that she moves on with the ease and the grace of Spirit. That truly her family is surrounded by love, but that Spirit that kept that body going, that put the twinkle in her eyes, I know right now is what continues to sparkle the heavens ever brighter. And that if we could look out and see life as she sees it now, no one would call her back. They're filled with God's joy, knowing that she has been greeted as she moved to that side, just as those are greeted when they move to this side. Just as Dorothy found herself in the arms of Annie M. when she returned. Truly, there is always that wonderful presence to greet us in the next iteration of our soul's expression. While we are here and we step into that next aspect of our being, the purpose for which we have been called, I know there are those compadres and those characters, those archetypal individuals that will assist us on our forward journey, that we are not alone ever within our life, that we can feel the power and the presence and the support and the love. That even if we're sitting home alone today, I know we are not alone, but surrounded by the ever-loving arms of the divine, feeling the presence of God and the warmth of Seaside that is beyond these walls. This is a blessed community, for every member of this spiritual community is blessed by the presence of God rising and expressing and bring relevant good into life. And so I know that Seaside continues to thrive in our apartness and yet together. We are together apart. It is a growing, thriving spiritual community, delivering the Spirit, reminding us that our mission of inspiring individuals to live their divinity is being done now, that it is supported. And I know right now that there's a healing going on. This COVID-19 is losing its grip and fading into the nothingness from which it came. Oh, there's going to be naysayers giving you the facts of why it's not so. But I got to tell you, you could always go home. You just had to believe. And it is in this moment, I believe with an unshakable conviction, in the health, the wholeness, and the perfection of each and every one of us who walk this world now. Thankful. I'm grateful that this is the truth, finding expression in our life and in our world. For there is a light that is emanating here from here now. It's God that's reaching our community. San Diego is feeling the presence of Seaside with its light and its love. Our nation can feel this vibration of health and wholeness and peace and calm that is now. We didn't have to go anywhere to find it, found in our own backyard, that truly the wizard is us. Our planet feels the love and the light of health and wholeness that is expressing and magnificently manifesting now. I know it. I'm grateful. I let go to this. I believe it. Filled with appreciation to see it, proclaim it, and know it is the truth. I let go. I just allow Spirit to have its way. Because it is. It does. So I let go and get out of the way. And allow it to be. And so it is. Amen.
There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let go. And this is what you have to say. Seaside, I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Your Son, only here for God. Said no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Said I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. Said no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Come on, Seaside, sing it wherever you are. And I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. Said no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yeah.
Woo! All right. That is so good. I love this. Hey, our affirmation is, I believe in the wizard that I am. Together, I believe in the wizard that I am. Touch your heart and say it again. I believe you, wizard that I am. One more time. I believe in the wizard that I am. I love you. We'll see you next Sunday.